things on your end?
Great, great. Yeah, again, finally happening. Happy to be here. Things are going well. I'm looking forward to the tour.
Yeah, definitely.
Talking about.
I know you just finished the tour recently. How did that in the US? How did that all go?
Fantastic, really fantastic. That like going into it, not knowing what to expect at all after 2 years. Completely overwhelmed, satisfied, better than expected. So turnouts, merch, pretty much everything just across the board was just great. Got nothing bad to say.
I saw some clips from your social media pages on some of the sort of tour that you did, and some of the extreme weather that you experienced and things like that as well. So, but it sounded like it went off without a hitch. Obviously,
Yeah.
I guess it was fairly easy to navigate with the whole COVID stuff and all that. How was that to deal with over in the US?
Yeah, I mean, that was the greatest fear, really, that something may go wrong, closures or cancellations would happen, but none of that happened. And even so, in retrospect, of course, when you're like in that snowstorm, it just sucks so much. But in retrospect, that's just a minor bump on the road. And really, that we didn't have any cancellations. All the bands made it. Every show happened. Nobody got hurt. That makes the tour successful to me.
Yeah, it's good to hear. No, how does it feel to actually be back on the road again as well? Because obviously bands have been waiting for this moment for such a long time. It must feel good to be doing what you want to do on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. It's overwhelmingly just amazing to be doing it again. And like all of us were kind of anxious, and I've heard this from other musicians that have been waiting for this for 2 years, that we're all kind of anxious, not knowing how it's going to be. It almost feels like we're going on tour for the first time again, even though we've done it so many times. After 2 years, it's just this weird thing. I don't think we ever had a break from the stage longer than 3 months for ever, like since I joined Defeated Sanity. I don't think there was ever like a gap longer than that without any show happening. So 2 years, that was almost to the day, 2 years. Yeah, almost felt like we're doing it again for the first time.
Yeah.
But then 3-4 shows in, things are like feel very familiar again.
Do you feel that and it's something that I've talked to with other bands as well? Do you feel that there's a bit of a new appreciation for sort of being in the band and life on the road and things like that?
Absolutely, 100%. Can't overstate how much we missed doing this. Not that I hate my life at home. I have a great home life, but music is just such a big part of my life, and everything is set up around it. So not having that for 2 years was definitely hard, and for all of us. So yeah, we're appreciating it, and we swore not to complain on this tour, no matter what happens. Of course, you can't there's occasions where you catch yourself complaining about stuff, but then you're also still appreciating, like, hey, this is just part of it. It's just part of the hustle, I'm still like, even after, for example, that, snowstorm coming back, those things I've already kind of forgotten about. They were hard in the moment, but now I'm glad we're doing it again.
Cool. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you down in Australia. Is this is happening in July with Disentomb, which is a great Aussie band as well. Is this your first time in Australia?
Oh yeah, indeed, it is. Never made it down there for some reason. Never was meant to happen. So yeah, finally coming down there.
Yeah, that's good. Obviously we've had a severe lack of, bands coming in from other countries in Australia over the last 2 years, as many other countries have probably had as well. So you'll be one of the first sort of bands coming over from another country to come into our country. So good to see. And what can, obviously there's going to be a lot of fans who have never seen you before. So what can the fans expect on this run of shows?
We haven't quite nailed down a set list yet, but I think because it's our first time in Australia, they can definitely expect pretty much like a well-rounded selection of songs from all the albums, because normally would be like featuring the new album more than any other record, but because the first time, they will probably play stuff from every album. So maybe not Dalmada, but every other album will definitely play stuff from, and I think that's what people can expect, and I hope that's what people want to hear.
Yeah, definitely. Seeing the dates on here as well. It's a pretty tight run of shows. So I guess you don't have a lot of time to kind of see the country and do a little bit of a tourist kind of thing,
Yeah.
But is there anything that you are hoping to kind of do or see while you're down here?
I would love to spend some time. I know that we have 2 more shows in New Zealand right after that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a couple days in between, which I'm not sure if we're spending those in Australia or New Zealand. So either way, I just love exploring stuff. I'd love to see the Great Barrier Reef. That's like one of my like, bucket list things. Just see it, maybe even, go for a swim, but we'll see how much time we have. That's definitely one of those things I absolutely want to see.
Yeah, definitely. I know it's a little bit different to your own home country, I guess, but you will be coming down in sort of in the middle of winter in Australia, which is still pretty mild in comparison, though. But hopefully it'll still work out for you, and we're looking forward to it. It's going to be interesting because, as I said, we haven't really had many bands coming here lately over the last couple of years, and certainly nothing in your sort of style of music, heavy wise and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be something different for us. We're looking forward to it. So what have you been sort of expecting to cut when you're coming down to Australia? Are you expecting anything at all that you've been sort of hearing stories about or anything like that at all? Or
I mean, generally I try to keep my expectations reasonable always, to not set myself up for disappointment. But people are saying it's going to be great shows. Everyone's saying it's going to be like packed shows. People are eager to see us or hungry for shows, and it's our first time there, so everybody wants to make me believe that we're going to have really, really good turnouts. So again, trying to keep my expectations low, but yeah, I hope that's really what we're going to be seeing, like with just packed shows, excited crowds that maybe even come from other places within the country, just to catch the show. So yeah, I'm hoping for that.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a real hunger for live music. As I said, it's something that a lot of fans here in Australia have been missing. So I think when a band like you were coming down to Australia, everyone's going to be going out because they just haven't been doing it lately, in the last couple of years. So like yourselves, there's a new appreciation for live music. And I guess it's something that you guys have had as well. I mean, live music is kind of where it's at. I mean, how do you feel about, the band's career over the last, couple of decades, with the live music and touring and all that kind of stuff? Do you kind of feel you're in a pretty good place at the moment?
I feel like it's been a slow and steady upward move kind of for us. Like, we came from the underground, been signed to Grind Ethic Records first, then Willow Tip Records, all smallish labels, just never had like that huge breakout moment. Obviously with that style of music, that's hard to gain that kind of traction, but we've been pretty much always on the rise, and every tour pretty much has been better than the tour before, which I can also say about the latest one we just finished in the United States. Probably the best tour we've done, and best headlining tour at that. So yeah, I'm happy where we're at right now. There's always room for improvement, but it's hard to not compromise the extremity of your music for broader appeal. So we're trying to not make compromise when it comes to that. So I'm pretty sure with how extreme our music is, it's quite limited in how big the band can grow, but maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah.
Definitely happy where we're at right now. For the style of music we're playing, I think we came pretty far.
Now I know you had an album come out a couple of years ago, but during the COVID thing, a lot of bands were sort of working on new material and stuff like that. Were you guys sort of working on ideas for maybe our next release at all, or?
Oh yeah, we're collecting ideas. We actually have 4 songs already written, so that's basically half an album written. And apart from that, we're collecting ideas now that we're able to get together again. Because for 2 years, with the band being spread across Europe, United States. It just was not really a way to jam or really organically exchange ideas. All you can do is write stuff in like Guitar Pro, record it with, but you can't like bounce things back and forth the way you can when you're actually face to face with the instrument.
Yeah.
So that's coming back now. So that's great. And yeah, we've been definitely writing some stuff, and I'd say about halfway into the new album. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah. I know it's technology sort of allows bands to kind of do what you do as far as like being in different places and stuff like that. But how long have you been able to do that? And is that easy to do even like pre-COVID and stuff like that?
We started doing that pretty late. Most bands have been doing that for a long time already. We've been up till the Disposal of the Dead Armada album. Everything was pretty much carried forward by just playing riffs, showing riffs to each other. Nothing was really written down, honestly, and it's just very organic. And then Armada was the first record where we actually wrote things down, recorded to a click track, and so on. Did the same thing with the newest album. So even before COVID, we kind of had started setting ourselves up for being able to do that, which definitely helps now, because if COVID had happened 10 years ago, we would have been completely unprepared for that. We didn't have anything written down ever. It was just literally just showing stuff in the room, maybe recording a little demo version and sending it around, but nothing was really written down. So yeah, I'm glad we kind of jumped on that just a few years before COVID happened.
Okay. So going back a little bit into your history, obviously you joined the band a little bit later after they had started, but as far as your own personal life, like how did you actually get into music, and then what led you to go into sort of like the more extreme side of music?
Okay. I got into music at a very, very young age. Playing classical guitar, age 7 is when I started having teacher lessons for classical guitar. Did that for about 4 years. Kind of lost interest in it when my teacher moved away, and get a new teacher. And that age, I don't know, other things were more interesting. Then I discovered metal music, starting with Metallica. I think the S&M Symphony record, when that came out, it was all over MTV. I was maybe 13 years old. That's what really caught my attention. That was kind of my entry into Metallica, and then into other heavy bands. And at that point, it was kind of funny because I had no exposure to like an electric guitar or a bass or anything. I only had my nylon string classical guitar at home. So I was like playing Metallica songs on the nylon classical at home. And eventually there was a school project going on, high school project. And I think it must have been like 14 years old at that point. And they were looking for a bassist because everybody plays guitar. So they were like, oh, we already have 5 potential guitarists and I would be one of them. Does anybody want to play the bass? And I said, sure, I'll give it a shot. I can do the finger thing. I play classical. So picked up the bass, and it felt so natural right away. Like I could never really do this, like the picking thing, it's never my thing. I was always a finger classical player. So the bass felt natural, it felt great. Even though I've never had a lesson on bass to this day, and then I was completely a bass newbie. Just because I played the classical guitar, I was already like, I had a head start. I was able to play songs right away, and kept with it. Bought myself a bass, and looking for bands, and eventually ended up in Defeated Sanity.
And that was it. And what about bass players? Because obviously that's not an instrument that a lot of people kind of know about. I kind of feel it's a bit of an underappreciated instrument. Was there any particular bass players, and especially in the more extreme sides of metal, that kind of were influencing your style at all?
Absolutely. It started with like Cliff Burton. Obviously, he was my hero at that age. And discovered the other greats like Steve DiGiorgio, and when it came to death metal, Alex Webster was one of the greats. But also early on was into stuff like Symphony X, for example. So Thomas Miller, the old bassist, had a huge influence on me in the first 3 albums, I think, albums he was on. And that had a huge influence. And then Watchtower, Doug Kaiser and Watchtower definitely had a big influence on me. So did Spastic Inc., Pete Paris on bass there. So that proggy techie bass, which is not really the Defeated Sanity style, it kind of is. Actually, the style is similar. The tone is very different. So I never really like took over the tone, but the style, I was super captivated by those proggy metal players. That definitely had a big influence on me. Still have.
Yeah, I mean, like you hear those elements in your music. I mean, there's a progressive element in the sort of the world of death metal that you guys sort of fit in. And I do wonder if a lot of progressive bands were kind of influencing your style at all, especially when you're writing and recording and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sean Malone, I have to also mention. Was Sean Malone big influence on me?
Yeah, yeah.
Cynic and yeah, so that was yeah, I always wanted to kind of be able to sound like these guys, but in Defeated Sanity it was never really possible. Except for Dalmada, I could do it a little bit. That was like the outside record, but for Defeated Sanity, I always had to be more of a rhythm guy. So like support the rhythm section of the band. So a little bit less room for Wheatley stuff, but I get it in here and there.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a fun run of shows by the sounds of it, and I actually wish I could be over there. Unfortunately, I'm on the west coast of the country, and you guys are only doing on the east coast. I will be on that side of the country literally a couple of weeks before you're there, so for other reasons. So I'm a bit disappointed that I can't make it, but I know people over there who are looking forward to seeing you. So hopefully your first run in Australia will mean you'll come back again in the future. So good luck on that, and thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it too. Thanks for taking the time.
Awesome, man.
Looking forward very much to coming to your country.